Shivraman, if I can bring you in on this, what then could have caused this engine failure for the fuel to stop reaching the engine? We were discussing a short while earlier the possibility of a fuel pump failure or some other kind of mechanical or electrical failure that could have led to this. What really is the possibility?
You see, in my experience of 4 years as DGCA, I personally conducted an investigation 2 major accidents. And we have been studying also the accidents all across the world. We never came across an incident where the fuel supply switch has been cut off in any one of these accidents. And here again, when I looked into the report, I found these switches are mechanical, as been very ably explained by the expert here. And unless it is deliberately operated by the pilot for purposes of an emergency or for purposes of switching fuel from one tank to the other, it cannot be touched by anybody else. Therefore, there must have been a mechanical failure of these switches. And why those failures took place is for further investigation. And I don't think anybody should talk about third party being present in the cockpit and all. This is all rubbish. It just cannot happen. And people are unnecessarily straying away from the failure that have been noticed by the AAIB. They have done a very good job, AAIB and DGCA, and we should support them in their further investigations. And the problem that I have been facing and I have been noticing, even in case of one accident where the engine fell off, when it was approaching the 747 engine fell off when it was approaching Palam Airport, the Boeing people do not bother about these things. And the FAA conducts investigation. They simply fine the Boeing. They just pay the money, $1 billion, $2 billion, which is nothing for them. They don't go to jail. When hundreds of people die, FAA do not prosecute them for criminal negligence. This is the problem. This is the problem, and we are dependent only on Boeing and Airbus industry because they are oligopolists. And the problem is that these FAA and other controlling agencies of the US government, they do not punish the people responsible for it with imprisonment for life or even death sentence, where hundreds of people, innocent people, die like this.
Well, Mr. Dabania, what is your take on this? Because, Mr. Sivaraman has been, talking about exactly what could have led to the factors. Of course, this is something that is exactly not been pinpointed in this report. The investigation still continues. But the lives that has been lost, of course, there is no coming back on that.
Shivraman Sab was very, very accurate in his points. First and foremost, this takes out a lot of theories which were floating around, like bird hit, fuel contamination, sabotage, aircraft maintenance. All these theories are out. The fuel was tested absolutely up to the mark. The engine maintenance was done. The pilot's protocol was followed completely. No question of sabotage. Now, from the report, which is quite detailed, and we must congratulate the government that bringing it out on time, it is only 2 things have come forward to this. It's either a pilot error or a very, very rare mechanical failure. That is not defined at this stage. So I think we'll have to wait for that. But according to what I've read and what I've understood, it's very, very, very rare that these 2 switches can be shut off at the same time. There are systems to override this, and it has to be a very, very, very deliberate attempt by the pilot to put the switch off. And like Shivaraman sir said, it is only done in extremely rare cases. So this is still, and there's a very high level of switch locking system which will avoid this thing. So one pilot, what I understood is one pilot is asking the other, why did you do it? And there is no reply from the other side. So
no, the other one says, I did not.
Yes. That's recorded, sir. The one line of the CVR that's recorded. Although it's a bit sketchy at the moment. We don't have the entire conversation.
So
please carry on.
That means the pilot did not deliberately put the switch off. That means what I understand in my very little wisdom, that is a very, very, very rare mechanical failure. And another thing, end of the report, if you see, that no advisory has been given to Boeing. That means Boeing has not put under check or report or anything. That means, in a way, Boeing has got away with it. Now, the other problem, what Shivaraman sir said, that we are left with only 2 manufacturing companies in this world, Boeing and Airbus. So we do not have any 3rd, 4th, 5th manufacturer to turn to. So whatever Boeing tells us and whatever route it shows, we have to go by it. So I think the report is very good. It's brought in time. But still, there are a lot of questions which need to be answered.
But you know, you made a very, very important point, Mr. Damania, that you believe that Boeing has got away with it. Let me bring in Dr. Vandana Singh, aviation expert. Dr. Vandana Singh, do you share that perception? Because, you know, we saw Mr. Shivraman and somebody who's literally been in the hot seat as a DGCA, who literally monitors someone who's done various aircraft examinations as well during the process of crashes, etc. And he has also expressed a similar view. Do you share that view, Dr. Vandana Singh?
Yes, first of all, there's an august audience here and I'm hearing all of them. And yes, I do share the view. At the same time, I would like to point out that it's clear from here, first of all, that the preliminary report has come out on time. There was a lot of criticism coming to it, but I was always telling on various channels that we expect full right to information, and that is coming out. That's number one. Two is I don't think Boeing gets away from this, because also from the beginning, various experts, including myself, have been stating that this could be a FADEC mandated miscommand. So they will have to investigate into the full authority digital engine control system. Could this be an electrical software malfunction? It is very clear that the pilot 1 is asking pilot 2, has this been cut off the fuel switch? And its answer is negative. So the question is then what really happened? So they will have to go dig deeper into the FedEx system, operating system itself. Was there a miscommand? Was there some corrupt data over there? Was there a software glitch? All of it has to go in. So Boeing can't come out of it. The investigation has just started, and it will take months, of course, to come out with the final report. So nobody can wash. All the stakeholders are in there. They cannot wash their hands away from it. Yes. And whoever is there is, liable to respond to this. They have to respond, and they have to take full accountability, and they have to accept where they have gone wrong. So I do feel that Boeing cannot shy away from it. This investigation has just started. It's a global disaster, not just a national disaster. It's a global disaster, first of its kind. So they cannot just wash their hands away from it.
I want Phil to come in on this, because Phil, is there a sense that you also share that Boeing appears to be getting away with it, as some of our panelists here are sharing? Phil?
Well, one of the things what I'm hearing is when I'm looking at the accident investigation, okay, the fuel cutoff levers, the small levers right behind the power lever console, it's a physical lock, right? So when the pilots turn on the fuel, they lift it up and put it into the detent, right? So there's no way that fuel lever can be pushed back, can be mechanically or electronically moved. It has to be physically moved by the pilot. Now, with the FADEC, reporting from your colleague there, saying that the FADEC of the engine, if there is a FADEC failure, to have a single FADEC failure, it goes into what's called an accommodation mode, and where the aircraft, the engine, will actually run in a degraded capability. It will not fail completely. Now, to have a dual FADEC failure was pretty much unheard of. One of the things with the 787, that if one of the engine fails during takeoff, the second engine can take them to the point where they can climb out, they can get to a point where they can dump fuel and then return the aircraft back and land properly. So the thing is that the question that needs to be asked right now is that why were those fuel shutoff levers moved from that physical? It's not a mechanical. I said it earlier. It was a mechanical lock. It's actually a physical lock where they're into a detent. So yes, they have to actually.
As far as the conversation between the two pilots, it did not specify that. You know, that's the point there, Mr. Phil, as far as when we speak of what has all been detailed in this preliminary report. But Mr. Sivaraman, what is your analysis exactly? What decides the airworthiness of an aircraft? The plane that had actually from Delhi at that point when it had to take off for London, and this Dreamliner that turned into a nightmare, of course, with no previous history like that. What is that the role of the DGCA now stands as of now?
So in my opinion, if there had been an FAA directive on regard to these switches, then these switches should have been properly examined every time the flight landed and was about to take off. And when the engineer certifies that the aircraft is ready for takeoff and certifies that every system is all right, that means, the pilot presumes that he has examined all the systems, including those where advisories have been notified to the operators. So in this case, whether they examine the switch or not, we do not know. But one thing I want to go on record here. When the Bhopal gas tragedy took place, I was the Finance and Planning Secretary of the Government of Madhya Pradesh. Cases were registered against the chairman of the companies, Mr. Keshav Mahindra, including Mr. Anderson. In these cases, when hundreds of people die, no criminal cases are registered against the people who are responsible for manufacturing a defective aircraft or a defective engine. It has never been done. All these people get away with fines, and thousands of people are dead on the ground, and hundreds of families and thousands of families suffer till the end of their lives. And those people who have manufactured the engines and the aircraft, they get away with paying hundreds and thousands of dollars or millions of dollars as fines. And I don't accept this at all. I have been a public servant for now almost 55 years, serving the people on the ground level and at the government level, even including the policy level as Revenue Secretary and Executive Director at International Monetary Fund. It is the poor people who die, whose families are shattered. And these people who make money, they get away by paying fines. They don't go to jail. And the same thing happens in the case of pharma companies also, where pharma companies release drugs without proper trial, people die and they pay fines and get away. This is the system that is prevailing in the United States, which advises every government in this country, do this and do that. When they do these atrocious things, when people die. I want to go on record. Now I'm 85 years old. I'm still serving the people at the ground level as chairman of an NGO. I can't see the face of a people who have lost their dear ones, who have been the breadwinners, and now they will be on the streets.
Very well spoken, sir. We completely appreciate the sentiment that you are expressing, and I think every citizen somewhere, feels the frustration, the pain, and especially when such a tragic accident happens where over 260 innocent lives are snuffed out due to no fault of theirs, and somewhere or the other those responsible for it will have to pay. Now, let the investigation take place. This is a preliminary report. As we all know, the final report is expected to take place. But let's go through the findings one by one as far as this preliminary report is concerned. Amita, take us through what does the AAIB 15-page report say? Absolutely.
We're just going to sum it up. What has been the findings so far in this 15-page report, because it is important to note what exactly has been ruled out and what is being said that could have caused as far as this crash is now concerned. Because not only the 260 people on board the flight die, there were people below in the buildings as well, that where the plane crashed, they also lost their lives. The findings that have been also talking about the emergency locator, the plane that destroyed due to the impact with the building on ground, that has been specified in the report with pictures as well, at least 5 buildings that were impacted. Emergency locator transmitter in the plane, that wasn't activated. There are other issues as well that has been pointed out. The landing gear lever was found to be in down position. That has been a concern that has been raised by the experts as well. The thrust levers remained forward, takeoff thrust, until the impact as far as when it comes to the plane losing height rapidly and crashing into the buildings below. Fuel supply to the engines was cut off, takeoff valves that decreased, and this is where when it comes to the talking point as far as what has now been said, that there was no fuel supply to the engines, and that is what exactly led to the mayday call situation that was raised by the pilots 3 times when they raised the alarm, but it was too late. One of the pilots heard asking about the sudden fuel stop to the other pilot. We don't know if this is the main pilot or the captain or the co-pilot who was talking about this. The other pilot says, no, I did not. The other pilot says he did not press the fuel cutoff switches. Then what exactly led to this? Was it a malfunction or a human error? That has not been pinpointed in this report. There has been no significant bird activity observed in the vicinity, so that rules out as far as the weather conditions. That has also been put out out in this report. That was also fine. The plane was fit for takeoff. The plane began losing altitude before clearing the airport perimeter. It was very close to the end of the runway, and that is when it lost height and it crashed in the periphery right after crossing the wall of the airport. All of these findings that now making its way in the report, that seconds later fuel cutoff switch transitioned to run. That means that they were managing, or they were trying to revive the engines, and what is being said thereafter, it was too late before them that both the engines could have revived, that there could be fuel supplied to the engines, and engine 1 core deceleration stopped. However, it did begin recovery and to the other engine as well. As far as these findings are concerned, when we speak of the engine 2, that was also able to relight, but deceleration persisted, and engine 2 reintroduced fuel repeatedly to boost acceleration, but it was too late. So it's a matter of seconds really that we are looking at. Right after the plane took off, it lost its altitude, it lost the heights, and we are looking at how it immediately crashed after crossing the airport wall boundary. Now, these are the findings as per the preliminary report. Of course, the AAIB says that the investigation still continues. And far as this comprehensive coverage is also concerned, that also continues with our reporters and a panel of experts that continue to be with us. We'll be right back.